principle number 7 may be one of the more important and also one of the most difficult ones. Because prophecy uses images of the better tomorrow to move God's people to loving obedience today, how you interpret it shows what you think about a whole bunch of other doctrines too. And there are at least 5 key doctrines that you need to know what you believe about if you want to interpret prophecy the right way. These 5 things are extremely important. If you don't know what you believe about them, then you will probably not interpret prophecy with any kind of consistency, and it'll probably be kind of a mess. So here are the 5 things that you need to have an opinion about. First is the millennium. What is the millennium? Is it going to be a literal 1,000-year reign where Jesus will be here on the earth? Or is it not really 1,000 years and it's just a figurative expression for something else, for Jesus ruling and reigning in the hearts of his people, or something else? You need to know what you believe about the millennium. The second is the kingdom. What is the kingdom? Is the kingdom here now since Jesus has come the first time? Or is the kingdom only future? Is the kingdom only a geopolitical thing where you have a ruler, you have a realm that he rules over, and then you have him on the throne exercising power inside this kingdom? Or is the kingdom something more, something that's in some way present now while awaiting final consummation later? So you need to know what you think about the kingdom. The third thing is Israel. What exactly is Israel? Is Israel just an ethnic people group descended from Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob and his 12 sons? Is that it? Is that Israel? Or is Israel the old covenant nation, which is a multi-ethnic nation state? Or is Israel all the true believers in God, whoever they are and wherever they're from? You need to have answers to that. The fourth thing is the church. What is the church? Is the church Israel? Is it the new? Is it the better Israel in any way? Or is it a totally separate people group from Israel with a related but distinct path to follow? How does the church relate to Israel? Which means you have to know what you think about Israel to know what you think about the church. The rapture. Most Christians in history have never believed in the rapture and have never even heard about it. But in some flavors of particularly American Christianity, the rapture, the pre-tribulational rapture, is an article of faith that's often unwittingly held closer with more detail and passion than the doctrine of the Trinity. So what is the rapture? Is it a thing? Is it not a thing? When does it happen if it is a thing? What part does it play in interpreting prophecy? Each one of these 5 things are really difficult because depending on what system you believe or have been handed, you'll think different things about each one of those items. So you need to figure out what you believe about those 5 things. The safest place to start is the system that you've been handed. Go to your pastor, look at your church's statement of faith, look at your confession of faith that your church subscribes to, and see what your church, the tradition you're most comfortable with, believes about these things. And use that as your base to examine the scripture and think about these things. If you want, I'll give you 2 recommendations. One, if you want a book to help you navigate these issues in a fair way, you should get an older book by a guy named Millard Erickson. The title of the book is A Basic Guide to Eschatology, Making Sense of the Millennium. Millard Erickson, A Basic Guide to Eschatology. This will help you figure out where the lay of the land is. The second book I want to recommend is a book that I think is really good and explains what I believe the answers to these questions are. You never agree with everything in a book, but this book, I think, does a really good job, and it's very short, and I think you'll find it helpful. It's by a theologian named George Ladd, L-A-D-D. The title of the book is The Last Things, An Eschatology for Laymen. George Ladd with 2 Ds, The Last Things. That book pretty much reflects my answers to those questions. It doesn't matter what my answers are. What matters is that you need to have your own opinions on those 5 things. What is the millennium? What is the kingdom? Who is Israel? Who is the church? What do you think about the rapture? Not just so you can make sense of things, but so you can make sense of what other Christians think about these things. So you must have an opinion on those things if you're going to interpret prophecy with consistency or even understand why other Christians interpret it so very differently. We have 2 more guiding principles left, and like the rest, they're really important. So join us for the next videos as we continue to look at principles that'll help us interpret Scripture the right way.